Hey guys, and welcome back to the garage. It's been a long time since we last had our little chat, so we're gonna get going here real quick. I'm just getting out to the garage myself. I'm gonna give you guys an update on the project, where we are, what we're getting ready to do, and stay tuned for more. It's gonna be exciting. So just getting in here. Let me get the lights all on so we can show you. But it's been a while. It's been about 18 months since we were out here in the shop working on this. So we've got quite a bit of updating to do. We haven't really spent a whole lot of time working on it. Other priorities have been in play. And as you look around the garage here, that we've got quite a bit of a mess to take care of, from things that have been collected in our wonderful workspace over the last 18 months. But it's time to get started again, and I'm excited for that. So let me give you a little update where we stand, where we left off, and what we're getting ready to do. Let me show you. All right, and there she is. It's a Jeep Wrangler YJ 1995. It's got a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine in it. It's got the 5-speed manual trans and not a whole lot else other than a whole bunch of rust spots on it. So where we left it last time, you see we've got it somewhat disassembled, somewhat not, mostly just using what you see there, pulling the good parts off and trying to plan around the pieces that have too much rust or too far gone to save. So we've got this new tub over here, and we've got a lot of work done already on it. You can read the blog and get caught up to speed on all of the different rust repair items that we've got in there. Got a few little minor things to take care of. We mostly need to strip the paint off the outside, and I put some body filler in and get it nice and clean and ready for paint. And then this tub will go back on the Jeep. We're gonna take the one that's there off. You see we've cut some parts off of it that were used on the new tub. We've also got quite a number of rust spots here. The body mounts are shot. It's it looks better than it actually is. And once we get this body off, we're gonna take a closer look at the frame. One of the things we're gonna do in an upcoming video is just inspect everything, kind of check out where we are, and see what all is left to do. I also wanna see if we can get our 4-cylinder engine running again. Now my plan is to actually swap this out with the 6-cylinder and the AX15. That'll be a project on its own. We'll see where we go. But very first thing that we're gonna do is to really just clean up the garage, because we don't have a good workspace right now. And as I said before, it's been collecting junk for about 18 months, and that's a problem. So gonna enlist some help, we'll get it done. Now, before we go, I wanna show you a few more details on what we're going to do, some of the parts that we've already got, some of the used stuff that we plan to reclaim and use in our project, and where we're going from here. All right, now first off, we have purchased a few extra items or been given them. So the hood that was originally on it, that's the hood that was originally on it, it was beat up pretty bad. You can't really see it on this, but there's a huge indentation here, and the ribbing on the back that's supposed to support that hood is actually collapsed. So to fix it, it would take a lot of time and effort. So I got this new used hood that came from a salvage yard that is actually in really good shape. So we're gonna use that, and you see that support brace there is good shape, no problems. I also have these fenders that were actually given to me by a friend. I've got a little bit of straightening to do on the front, but they're in better shape than the fenders that are on there. There's no real rust on those fenders. And then I've got these side steps that we'll put on there too. Those are just a personal preference. I like them a lot. You see the two supports for the sport bar that'll go on the back. So those I've already got. And then additionally, sorry for swinging it around here, but I've got a new used tailgate. So this is the one that was on there, and you see that it's pretty dented in, cracked, and I really don't want to try to repair that. So what we got is we've got another tailgate that came from that same salvage yard, and I think it looks pretty good. There's no rust, no dents, anything like that on it. And of course the tub itself. I'll show you a little bit more about that, but one more thing that I want to show you, and it's outside. All right, so one more thing to show you real quick outside is that we do have a replacement engine. No idea if it actually runs, but it's the right engine. It's not the right transmission bolted up to it, but for $200, I have this nice, great Jeep Cherokee. And it's got the same inline six that originally came in the Wranglers, so it shouldn't be a problem there. I know some of the assembly on the front is gonna need to be worked out, but we'll get through that. I am a amateur mechanic. I don't have any real experience at this, so we'll figure it out as we go along. I know that there's some parts that we're gonna end up needing to acquire in some way. I have learned that most of the parts that you're gonna need if you're doing this on your own, you can find if you just search online. You can check out Craigslist, you can check out eBay. Those are kind of the standard places, but there are a lot of people that part out Jeeps, a lot of people that part out Jeeps full time. You can get your parts really inexpensively. So I bought this Jeep for $1,500 off of Craigslist. Now I bought it because it was literally the cheapest Jeep Wrangler on Craigslist that was complete, as in all the parts were there, and I could get it on a trailer. So my intent was to take that and just really build the Jeep that I've always wanted as a YJ, and so we've been in process of doing that. Now, all of the parts combined that I have put into this so far are still around $2,200, probably not even $2,300 so far. And that includes some of the things that you'll read on the blog about the undercoating, the gallon and a half of paint there, plus all of the extra supplies that I've got to just test out the different undercoatings. So it's really, really not that much money invested in this so far. The Jeep itself came with, again, it was complete. It came with everything that would be in a regular YJ. It came with a hard top, and it actually ran and did drive. However, not very well in either case. Thus the reason for the project and the reason for the price. But we were able to get it on the trailer, no problem. So one other component that I've got is that the dash itself that's in the particular Jeep is the pad in it is shot, so we'd have to replace that and a handful of other things. So while I was at the junkyard, if you want to call it that, I did pick up an extra dash. I brought it home, and my beautiful wife, as a present to me for Christmas, actually took that dash and had it professionally painted. It's painted in black because the interior is going to be black in my new Jeep when I get it done. And I've got most of the components painted, so I'm really excited about that. They look really good, really good. So where do we go from here? That's a good question. Next up, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the tub and we're going to get it actually nice and clean. We're going to get it painted. Now, I'm going to paint it myself. I'm not a painter, not a mechanic, a whole lot of things that I'm not, but I am an amateur at a lot of things. So we're going to see how that goes. I found a pretty good setup. We'll show you more about that when we get into that particular video. But I got to get the body nice and straight. And I think with the patches that are in there that I can get it completely straight with not more than about an 1/8 inch of any body filler in any particular location. I'm really excited about that because that is pretty high standards for somebody that's never done this before. So that's number one. Number two is that the Jeep itself, so the actual original Jeep, I don't know how good the frame is. I don't know how much rust is there. I know, I'll show you here on the front. So on the front down here at the bumper, that there is quite a bit of just rot right at the edge. Now, I know I can get a replacement piece for that, and if I do, I can cut it out and I can weld a new piece in, and that should be good. However, I don't know where else on the frame. I haven't been able to crawl up under there and spend a whole lot of time. So we're gonna do that another video. We'll get up under the frame and we'll check out what, if anything, would need to be done to it, or if it's just a total loss and we need to go buy a new frame, which we can do, but that'd be a very expensive endeavor. So we'll see how we can do with what we've got. We are doing this a bit on the cheap, not made of money here. So we'll see how it goes. Also, the leaf springs that are in it, they are the original leaf springs, and they are completely shot. They are sticking out in all the wrong places. They are flat and really just need to be refreshed. So found some new leaf springs that I can get that are about the original factory height. I like the look, so we'll probably go with something like this. We may end up going with the lift. We'll see. Let's see. Other than that, basically it's get the existing tub off, get the new tub fixed, sanded, painted, and put on, and start putting the components back together. I think that one of the next steps that we're going to do is just try to get that 2.5 liter engine running smoothly that's in there, because I may end up leaving it in there at least for a little while so that we can drive it around, because it's going to be summer before too long. Who knows? Depends on how much time I've got to work on it between now and then. But it'd be great to get it out on the road this summer. And I think that will pretty much cover the majority of the things. The gauge clusters I'll probably end up having to replace or tinker with to get them working. I know that the horn in it is shot, which is not uncommon. All the YJs that I've had have had some kind of problem with that corrosion, whatnot, inside the steering column, really where the contacts are made, just haven't lasted very well. I don't know about the transfer case. I probably need to find a different one anyway. I'd like to get the MP231 with the AX15 to go behind the inline six. The one that's there now, I haven't even tried. We got it to run in 2-wheel drive, but the transmission that's in it needs some love. I do actually have a separate transmission. It costs like $70. I mean, really cheap. I have no idea if it works. We'll see. Other than that, I think that's kind of where we're going next. So let me show you a little bit more about the body, the new tub, and all those blog posts that I've done about my very poor in learning welding skills. I'll show you a little bit about those, talk through that a little bit here. Let me turn this around and show you. All right, so when I bought this tub, I bought it for about $200. I found it on, I think it was Craigslist, from a guy that actually is about 3.5-hour drive from my house. But he had a lot of Jeep parts and actually drove over strictly to pick up this tub. We found the tailgate, we found the extra dash, and I think another air intake and a handful of other things there that were really effectively priced. The only thing that weren't were these extra half doors that I bought. Now they'll have to be painted, but those half doors are expensive. So if you have a set of half doors and you're looking to get rid of them, make sure that you check what they're worth, because they're worth quite a bit more than even the tub was. Now, when I bought this tub, it was promised that it did not have any rust other than a little bit of surface rust in a few places. And I went through it and looked at it, and from what I could tell at that time, it didn't seem to. But once I got it back in the shop and I started poking and prodding on it a little bit, I found several key problems with it. Now, I knew there was a little bit of damage in the back, right here, this back corner, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but there was quite a bit of rust in key locations that generally do rust, that had actually made rust holes. And in fact, the more that I poked, the more I realized that indeed there were holes there. Now, I could have just put some of the Pour 15 or something like that to lock in that rust. I didn't. I decided to cut out the bad metal and weld in new metal to the best of my abilities. Part of our next step are going to be looking at some of these welds and making sure that they are up to snuff, so to speak, that they're going to do the job, and I'm not going to have any problems with them in the future. Now, most of them I'm confident that I'm not, but there's a couple here, and I'll show you the ones that I do have concerns on. So I started with this seat. So when I actually got in here looking, there were some stress fractures in the metal itself. Not so much rust, just from the repeated pressure and relief of that pressure from sitting down and getting up and sitting down and getting up and various other things. And the biggest one was over on that far side in the passenger side, the rear right corner on the passenger side. And so I took my cutting wheel and cut out just the sheet metal that's there on the top. Now there's a brace under it. I didn't cut through the brace, just the sheet metal that's on the top. And since that was the very first one that I did, and intentionally so, because it's going to sit under the seat, you won't ever see it. And it's not overly structural. Probably not the right way to say that, but I used the wrong thickness of metal. And so I put a lot of weld around it and tried to smooth out some, but it still has a bit of a ridge there, and get close enough, you can see that. Now, there is a nut behind that. I have no idea if that nut's actually going to hold. I did weld it in there, and I welded it in there pretty good, but I have learned since that that might not have been the best thing to do. There are probably other ways that I could have done that. So I will have to get a bolt in there and just make sure that it's actually going to hold. If not, we'll cut it out and replace it again. Now, from that, I had a lot of learning. And as you move up, you'll see right in front of that, so in the floor to the right, on the passenger side. Actually, I'll slide around and show you just so you can see it. Again, I apologize, but on the passenger side, and this is the same place for both passenger and driver, but right there under the Jeep logo, it was actually a hole, and it was a bad hole. Like, it wasn't just bulging out, but it was actually eaten all the way through. You could put a screwdriver all the way through it. So what I did is I cut that completely out. You can read the blog post and see some pictures. I cut that completely out, and I cut a section of the floor out, and I welded a brand new piece of sheet metal back in, and I tried to make it as smooth as possible. If I go this way, you can see that that's actually pretty smooth. Now, there is no body filler in that at all. It is pure weld right now, and it's not too bad. It's not perfectly straight, but again, I think with about a 1/4 or an 1/8 inch of body filler, and you won't even see that. And it is fully welded behind it. And again, no gaps, no holes. I spent a lot of time on it. Now, on the other side, I had to do the same thing. And I'll just show you, get real close on both sides so you can see kind of the process here. But first thing that I did is I cut that whole piece out. Now, you can see the seams on that one quite a bit from this angle. Again, no body filler, those are just welds. And I am not a welder, so you see all the amateur welding that's going on there. So I cut out the new piece and put it in place, welded it in. And then on the back side, kind of go to that far side over there so you can see that, but you'll see the same thing, that I welded that piece in. Those supports, that's a rubber pieces over it, I just stuck those back on, but I actually cut the supports as well and welded new pieces there. And you see the ridge on the floor, I cut that out as well and welded that in, and that's the same piece here on this side as well. So we'll go show you, see the little plastic. Now, again, I'm not a welder, so I'm not proud of those beads that are there. Mostly just a lot of pigeon poop, I think is the best way to describe that. But it is there, and it will hold because that's not really structural. Now, the floor is, but that's got quite a bit more weld in it, and it's pretty solid. And you see, again, the floor, actually, we cut it all the way out here, and then all the way back, and then all the way over. And put new pieces in. Now, I was very careful not to disturb any of the holes that are there, any of the mounting holes, screw holes, or anything like that, because we're going to reuse them all. But that is done and dusted. Now, other than that, the seat on the passenger side, and both front and the passenger and the driver's side, for those right under the Jeep logo, and then also, and really both the back and the floor under the roll bar mount were completely rotted, holes in them. It was pretty bad. So there are new plates cut and put in this as well. Now, the good news here is that the hole here, I did have to put through the new plate. This is the original hole, and I cut around it here. But on this side, this is the original hole. Now, again, there's a brace or support under this that I didn't disturb, that wasn't rusted, so I left that. I just put a new plate over it. This is actually not a captured nut, so I can get to the bottom of it, and that's the reason why I didn't have a big problem with that. Same thing on the other side, that it has the same situation, and actually both the back, the floor and the support on the back both had, and you can see the patch there. Again, no body filler anywhere. That's just pure weld and metal that had to be put back in place. I'm very careful to maintain the location of the screw holes or the bolt holes, but that was done. Now, other than that, I did have to replace a captured nut under the front passenger body mount. I can't really show you that in the position that the tub is sitting right now. And it's been painted with the undercoating, so you really can't see it. But it's definitely there, and it has probably more weld in it than anywhere else, given the importance of a body mount and the stress that a body mount will be under. So I don't know about how much mileage I will get out of it, but we are going to hopefully be okay. Now, the last piece, and the piece that I am most excited about, is this corner back here. Now, again, this wasn't rusted. This was just damaged. In fact, I have the damaged piece here, which is really hard to see. I have taken a hammer and I had beat this as best I could to straighten it back out. But even though I had beaten it to straighten it back out, it's still not entirely straight and it's not smooth. And given that there was going to be constant on and off for the hard top or the soft top or whatever goes on it, and I know that you can get pieces to go over it, I decided that it was actually safer and better to just cut that out completely. In fact, so even down the side, it was dented in pretty good, all down in here too. It was dented in. I mean, the whole thing was just beat in like somebody had hit it. So what I did is I took this and I cut it off of the new tub, the bad piece that I'm holding here. And I took that piece that you see that's on there, and that came off of the old Jeep because, you know, use what you can. And so this corner back here was actually pretty good, at least at the top. It was pretty good. So I just kind of measured it all out, cut it out. Now, I tried to maintain the seam here because it was welded at the top. Now, I intentionally cut a little heavy on this because the width of the cutting blade is actually that distance right there, just so you know, so that I could fit it in nice and neat here. And I'm going to be honest that I'm proud of that. That looks pretty good. Again, no body filler at all right now. You see the ridge. I'm going to have to take care of that with the body filler. But I mean, outside of just general shape, and I've kind of beat on it with the hammer quite a bit to kind of get it straight and do the best I can, but that I think looks really good. It's level, it lines up pretty good. I'm very pleased with that, and that's from an amateur. And there's my dog Sam. All right, so that'll do it for this video. And if you liked what you saw and you want to know more about how things go, then please do click that subscribe button and hit the bell too, so that you can be notified when I get a new video uploaded. We plan to do this pretty regularly going forward, if it's nothing more than just a quick update on what we've been able to accomplish over the week. So do be looking forward to new updates to come your way very soon. Thank you for watching.